Good morning, shit biscuits. Alright, I'll be the first to admit, I don't really give a shit what age demographic watches my videos. Cause quite frankly, it's not my responsibility to look after that shit. But to keep the communism of YouTube off my back, I will go ahead and say that if you are under the age of 18, I would not advise you watch these videos. Cause these tend to get violent and have a lot of cussing. Again, I personally don't give a fuck. But at the same time, I'm not about to leave myself open for an attack. So, 18 or older, you're cool. Under that, I wouldn't recommend it.
Alright, so Godzilla vs. Kong 2021. This one is one of the videos that I actually took personally, and that is why I am even more pissed that it actually got fucked up and I have to re-upload it. Not because I don't like the movie, and because I just don't want to revisit again. No, quite the opposite. I love this movie. I have a deep-rooted history with both Godzilla and Kong. They are two of my favorite and most iconic movie monsters of all time. So, when I first rewatched this video after I re-uploaded it, not re-uploaded it, but after I uploaded it and rewatched it, I was a little fucking pissed because none of this shit matched up, and me and Noah put in all that effort for nothing. So this one was personal for me, and I hope y'all enjoy it in the way it was initially intended to be viewed, not whatever this shit was. See y'all soon. Alright. So, yes. Godzilla's cinematic universe is off to a little bit of a rocky start. Mainly due to poor planning, but it's still not bad. Besides, it's only a matter of time before... Oh, my sweet lord. Oh, let's jump into this. Noah, today is the fucking day, my man. Are you ready? Are you ready to cover the rematch of the century? Godzilla vs. Kong.
Well, let's just say both took a tumble, but one kept on going and got his ass fucked.
Indeed. Yeah, dude. I mean, me personally, I think this movie, is a gem. Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the background. Basically, there's not much to talk about when it comes to the background. Yeah, the background of this film, basically since 1962, everyone had been wanting a rematch, between Godzilla and Kong. And obviously, seeing as how, since Legendary, got the rights from both Warner Brothers and Toho to use Godzilla and King Kong, well, they were basically both bunking under the same roof at this point, so let's just say a rematch was inevitable.
Oh, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, I will say, off the bat, that this movie does have some pretty major flaws, but overall, it's not bad at all. Yeah, well, most of it's not bad. We will be covering the bad shit here in a minute.
Let's just get with the fun stuff, shall we?
Indeed. Go ahead and list off the cast. By the way, before I forget, the director is Adam Wingard. And Adam Wingard, you really screwed the pooch after this movie released.
He did what he could. He gave us a Godzilla movie that's a monster movie, so...
He did, but we're gonna cover what the bad shit he did in the controversy section, so...
We got Alexander Skarsgård as Dr. Nathan Lind. Millie Bobby Brown! You might know her from a certain series on Netflix. That's very strange. As Madison Russell, of course, we saw her in King of the Monsters. We got Rebecca Hall as Dr. Lynn Andrews. I think I said her name right. I don't know. I'm sorry if I didn't. Brian Tree Henry as Burmy. Rory Hayes as Shun Oguru as Ren Zarazawa. We'll get to him later. Elza Gonzalez as Maya Simmons. Julian Dennis as Josh Valentine. Hey, was that a JoJo reference? Lance Reddick as Gullerman. Kyle Chandler as Mark Russell. Yes, he does appear in this movie, but
fuck me running. I hate this son of a bitch.
Don't worry, he doesn't have that much of a major role, so.
Thank God.
Damian Bitcher as Walter Simmons. And that's all I'm gonna list off, because I'm not gonna say the rest, I'm too lazy.
Alright, that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, Noah. Godzilla vs. Kong. Is there anything you would like to say before we get into the main event?
Lot of 62 references.
Yeah.
Good amount of action. A lot of pummeling and a lot of stomping on Hey Kong. There's been a lot of stomping, hey Kong!
Oh yeah, definitely. Freaking, I honestly kind of feel bad for this man, but yeah, we'll get to that in a minute.
Though I will say, he did get a luscious beard.
Alrighty. And speaking of Kong, let's go ahead and jump into the film itself. So the brief rundown. Destiny collides as the rivalry between kaiju legends is decided. Godzilla vs. Kong. After the events of 2019, the world settles into a brief era of normality. However, one day, Godzilla mysteriously appears in Pensacola, Florida, and, seemingly unprovoked, attacks the city, and he seems to target the Apex Cybernetics facility. Obviously, Monarch sets out to find out why Godzilla has suddenly become so violent. And meanwhile, on Skull Island, well, turns out things are not very good for the big boy ape. Because, well, he doesn't know it at first, but his island has been enveloped by the storm that is surrounding it. And Kong is being held in a Monarch facility, basically being, treated like a normal monkey in a zoo. But yeah,
more like a basically animal shelter, you could say.
Yeah.
Or an over 300 foot tall animal, of course.
Yeah. However, it quickly becomes evident that this little home of his cannot sustain him. One, because Kong doesn't like it here, and two, because, well, frankly, it's not big enough for him. So yeah.
And also, I believe he might have mentioned this, but the fucking storm. Yeah, remember Ghidorah?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he said, yeah. And then whole events in a certain comic book. We'll explain that later, I guess, maybe, possibly. But yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
And yeah, at any rate, they decide that, hey, they need to take Kong to a new home, and they also would like to investigate the Hollow Earth itself. So they start transporting Kong to an entrance to the Hollow Earth up towards the top of the world at Antarctica. And, well, while he's en route, he encounters the king of the monsters himself, Godzilla, setting up a rivalry between these two throughout the film, and possibly future films that probably won't really end too well.
Well, we can at least say this. Each time Goji appears, he does make a badass entrance.
Yeah. However, meanwhile all this is going down, Madison Russell gathers a ragtag team of detectives in order to figure out exactly why Godzilla has suddenly become so violent. And she sets out and starts finding, with a conspiracy theorist by the name of Bernie and her sidekick Tapwater. Yeah, she ends up figuring out that Apex Cybernetics, more specifically its CEO, has actually provoked Godzilla into war because he has built a massive mechanical monster by the name of Mechagodzilla. So now the stage is set. Will Godzilla and Kong be able to basically stop fighting each other and defeat this Mechagodzilla, or will Mechagodzilla kill them both?
On out! Right now, actually.
Yes. So, Noah! Obviously, I'm pretty sure we want to start off with the human action first?
Yes.
Fuck, man. So much they could have done, but so much they did in place. Bro, okay. Here's the thing. There are 3 characters throughout the entirety of this film that I actually like. Madison, Russell, Bernie, and fucking, Gia, the little girl that's Kong's friend. Those are the only 3 characters in this film that I give a fuck about. And it's not to say that the rest of the characters don't have their own, like, motivations and shit fleshed out, but at the same time, you don't really get to understand, like, their motivations all that clearly because they're basically shoved aside so we could get to the monster action. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The bad thing is, 1, obviously, Mark is back. Fuck this dude. I mean, seriously, fuck off.
With a lot less of a role, though.
Yeah, I was about to say that, because, yeah, he may be back, but thankfully he's not seen nearly as much as he was in King of the Monsters. But,
He does play the part of the worrisome father, though.
Yeah. Nevertheless, though, he pales in comparison to the motherfucker that they introduce in this film. I refuse to call him by his actual name. Tapwater.
Nah, man, you may call him Tatwater, but I call him Fire Fist.
Yes, I get it, he was in Deadpool too, but the role I remember him for is this movie, and it's because I fucking hate him in this movie. I don't hate the actor, I just hate what they did with the character in this fucking movie. Great, as if alcoholics need any more of a reason to fucking drink. Now they can confidently say they saved the world from giant monsters with the help of a stupid little fucking nerd kid.
We tried to take down those apex bastards, but I think this is as far as we go, so bottoms up. Well, drink. Hey, what are you? That's your solution? I gotta die here with you and sober!
Can't correct a password? Just put some alcohol on it and make it drunk.
Yeah, fucking bullshit. However, let's not dwell on the human action. Let's get to the fun part. The kaiju. First... Yep. And first of all, bro, let's talk about our 2 main protagonists. First of all, Godzilla. There's not much to talk about here because, once again, he is basically the same design as he was in the last movie, but we are going to be talking a little bit more about him in the controversy section versus 2014.
Well, it is roughly the same design, just some upgrades here and there to just make him a bit better than he looked in 2019.
I personally think 2019 looks better and 2014 looks better than both, but, you know.
Well, in terms of CGI, he did kind of look better, I think, in terms of CGI than G19.
Yeah. Now, let's go ahead and talk about Godzilla's main... I hesitate to call him sidekick. But yeah, his main competition for this film, King Kong. Is it bad that I think King Kong is the best part of the film?
Well, seeing as how their main focus in this film was to focus more on Kong, I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, straight up, King Kong is the main focus of the movie, and honestly, I think they did a very good job with his story. Not only is Kong absolutely fucking hilarious in this movie, eating everything he comes across, and This motherfucker's a piglet. Fucking sake. But not only that, but Kong's story in this film. He does, we'll talk about that in a second, but, yeah. He does get his ass kicked by Godzilla. However, he is also the one who takes down Mechagodzilla in the end. And, bro, I really like how they, showed Kong, like, exploring the Hollow Earth and becoming, like, familiar with his past again, because, honestly, it felt like a kid meeting his parents for the first time. Like, it felt like a story of wonder and just, fantasy goodness. And I really just enjoyed watching Godzilla and Kong as they were portrayed in this film. Which brings us to the Battle of Hong Kong. King Kong finds a new battle axe in the Hollow Earth, and
One of many.
yes. And apparently Godzilla, all the way on the surface of the planet, can sense this shit. So he raises up his body and his upper chest and his upper body, charges a massive atomic blast, and drills a fucking hole to the center of the Earth.
Probably one of the strongest atomic blasts that we've seen from legendary Goji.
Keyword legendary.
Yeah.
And honestly, though, I mean, legendary is one of the stronger versions of the character, but still, nevertheless, yeah, that sets up nicely how our characters are going to get to each other in the actual film, because Kong climbs up the hole he just drilled, and then the Battle of Hong Kong takes place. And no, hold on. Just a second here. I cannot express to you how much the Battle of Hong Kong is a fucking masterpiece. The fight between Godzilla and Kong in Hong Kong is easily one of the highlights of the entirety of the franchise. Both monsters are seen pretty well in the light, seeing as how there's a bunch of LEDs and shit in Hong Kong.
I do quite like the lights, though.
Yeah. And not only that, but amazing fight choreography between both of these monsters. And y'all know me, I love it when I see this. Godzilla and Kong both adapting to each other's fighting styles mid-fight. Dude, I fucking love this movie. And honestly, if you're a Godzilla or a King Kong fan, pick up this movie just for the Hong Kong fight scene alone. It is a goddamn spectacle to behold, and it is easily one of the best parts of not just this movie, but the MonsterVerse and the modern Godzilla films as a whole. And it all culminates to one scene at the end, when Godzilla, well, it didn't seem like he wanted to kill Kong, but he almost
just had
does.
enough of his shit.
What?
Godzilla just had enough of Kong's monkey shit going on.
Yeah, straight up, Godzilla goes into a fucking rage and beats the shit out of this poor monkey.
Yeah, which is both funny and depressing at the same time.
Yeah, we spent the whole movie following Kong, only to have Godzilla whoop his fucking ass. And we're gonna talk more about that in the controversy section, but, details. However, Noah, that brings me to the biggest issue besides tap water that I have with this movie. Mechagodzilla. Okay, first of all, a few things. One, I don't mind the story behind Mechagodzilla. We've seen weirder shit, and we've seen much weirder shit in the Godzilla films, and honestly, the fact that it took a rich dude 5 years to build this thing is not that much of a stretch, especially considering, he obviously has illegal contacts for him to get a hold of King Ghidorah's skull.
Jonah.
Yeah, and, so, yeah, no, the background behind Mechagodzilla isn't a bad thing. I don't mind that at all. what I mind is the fact that this thing just looks stupid. This thing has the exact same problem that Godzilla had in the last movie, just on steroids. Because Mechagodzilla, he's fucking stupid looking in this movie. Mechagodzilla looks, honestly, like they legitimately took all three of the prior Mechagodzillas from the classic series, threw them in a blender, and just said, fuck it. Whereas Godzilla 2019 and the redesign after 2014, yeah, I prefer 2014 over these guys, but at least they tried to look different. I mean, fuck, but just...
Granted, the main reason of the difference was the fucking community.
Yeah. But the
At
thing
least
is with...
Godzilla had a explanation.
Yeah. But the thing is, with Mechagodzilla, he just looks stupid. And honestly, I mean, Mechagodzilla looked better in Ready Player One. Seriously, Legendary, how the fuck is a cameo appearance of Mechagodzilla in a virtual reality video game movie outperforming you guys? What the fuck? Like, did they just give up when it came to monster designs, when they decided to make Mechagodzilla? Like, motherfucker looks stupid. And his arsenal is just pathetic. He literally has 3 weapons. Technically 4. But okay, his 3 main weapons are, 1, he has a shit ton of missiles, which don't even seem to affect Godzilla as much as, you know, normal missiles in prior scenes did, which is fucking bullshit. I will say he does have a nice... What?
I'd like to believe that Godzilla was really just powering through it and just saying, "Fuck you, I'm coming after you, bitch.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing stopping me."
Yeah. And then there's also his okay, I can get behind this. His red proton scream. Okay, that looks cool, and that looks like it's serviceable. And then the only other part of his body that, you know, is actually valid. He has a tail, and at the tip of it, it has this blade that can basically spin, and, yeah, if that tail, pierces and stabs into either Kong or Godzilla, that can literally liquefy their fucking internal organs. So...
The blunder chip.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got some cool looking arms, but ultimately they just turn into a way for Mechagodzilla to use his technical 4th ability, and that is with the fact that with the Hollow Earth energy that he's powered with, he can basically amplify his power and punches. Mechagodzilla, I mean, he's cool, and I don't mind the fact that he does, like, win against Godzilla here, because, honestly, it makes for a cool fight scene, and it makes for an organic way to bring Godzilla and Kong to stop fighting each other and instead work together. Which, I'm gonna say this right now, dude. The scenes where Godzilla and Kong are together without Mechagodzilla are the strongest in this movie, because Godzilla and Kong straight up should have been the only 2 monsters in this film. Whereas, I mean, Mechagodzilla was an interesting idea, but he was executed so fucking poorly, they should have just removed him from the movie. And then, well, without that being said, yeah, the way this movie ends is actually really nice. I mean, I really appreciate how they had Godzilla and Kong, like, face off against each other one final time after Kong killed Mechagodzilla. And I like how they stood and basically stared each other down, and I like how Kong respected Godzilla enough to not, like, show fear, but to show that he respects Godzilla enough to put the axe down.
The axe that was made from Godzilla's species.
Yeah. And that's also a big part of Godzilla, too, is, I mean, under normal circumstances, I would tend to think that Godzilla would just bum rush and attack Kong for using that thing, but I think Godzilla has a respect for Kong enough not to.
And like we saw in a prior scene, when Godzilla was literally looming over Kong, he nodded his head in approval of Kong's defiance and will.
Exactly. And, bro, just watching Godzilla and Kong on screen, both of them have some very nice character arcs in this movie. And with Godzilla being beaten up by Mechagodzilla, they set up a nice little, way for Godzilla to, have his own character arc in the next film and try to make himself stronger. However, that brings us to the controversy. There's only one controversy in this movie, and it came after the movie was released. Because director Adam Wingard, he decided that, you know what, he was going to go ahead and release a official statement via interview and through through internet post that Godzilla and Kong, apparently Godzilla blasting his atomic breath to the center of the Hollow Earth, took away Godzilla's energy and his power enough to not only weaken him for the fight against Kong, but weaken him for the fight against Mechagodzilla. The world lit on fucking fire with this. Everyone who read this and watched his comments online, obviously Kong fans were pissed, and rightfully so. And honestly, all the Godzilla fans who wanted to see Godzilla go through like a proper character arc in the next movie of trying to make himself stronger, they saw that and they were like, well, fuck, there goes our hopes and dreams, because, I mean, seriously, if Godzilla has no motivation to become stronger, then what's gonna make him get stronger? Other than just growing.
Which he barely did in this film.
Yeah. And, I mean...
Like, if you think about it, from 2014 to 2019, he grew an entire, how many meters was it? Like 10 or...
10,
11?
15?
He was 208, and in 2019, it was like 119, I think. Yeah, he grew like a solid 11 meters. Here, the same amount of time passes, he grew like an inch.
Yeah. And oh my god. Like, okay, I get that it does make sense story-wise to have Godzilla do that and then be weakened enough for Mechagodzilla and Kong to stand a chance against him. But one, that completely fucking crushes morale between Godzilla and Kong. Two, it basically discredited everything we've seen in the movie, because at that point, people had gotten so mad at Adam Wingard's responses that people literally just shut down and fucking, like, stopped taking this movie seriously after he said that shit. And it's like, dude, Godzilla lost. He's not, like, new to loss. It's what you do with Godzilla's loss that matters. And the way Adam Wingard handled it basically made Godzilla feel like that entitled rich kid that nobody fucking likes at school. Like, okay, we're gonna get into a rant here, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop, because I will say that this movie is genuinely fucking amazing. It just really sucks that Adam Wingard decided to crush any hopes of, future quality out of this film, because he decided to open his mouth and act like a fucking immature child. Noah, is there anything you'd like to say about this movie before we get into the recommendations for viewership?
Honestly, yeah. I would like to go back to the topic of Mechagodzilla's design, because prior to the movie even releasing, there's been so much fan art of it, and I just found a perfect example of what Mechagodzilla could have looked like.
Alright, do it, post it up. Do it up! Oh, yeah, I've seen that fan art. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah, man, I mean, just, honestly, bro, the freaking, part that kills me about this movie is how, how it could have been so much more, but it was still good nonetheless.
Yeah.
Godzilla
This
vs. Kong is one of the better films in the MonsterVerse, in my opinion. To be fair, that's not saying much considering there's only 4. But yeah, man. I mean, as for Godzilla vs. Kong, who would you recommend watch this movie, Noah? Because I think it's a fantastic movie, even if the shit that happened afterwards was stupid and childish.
Honestly, I would say kids would very much enjoy this movie simply because of how much action there actually is.
Yeah.
They wouldn't get bored, so they'll just stay and watch the film.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. When it comes to people I would recommend this film to, obviously, I said it before in Godzilla vs. Destroyer, GMK, and Godzilla Final Wars. If you are a Godzilla fan, you owe it to yourself to pick this movie up and watch it. Because Godzilla vs. Kong 2021, personally, I think that the human aspect of the 1962 film was better, but honestly, I think Godzilla vs. Kong and King Kong vs. Godzilla, the classic and the new, I think they're pretty much equal in quality. And I said during our review of King Kong vs. Godzilla that that movie was better than this one, but honestly, upon later viewing and upon watching this movie again, I can't really decide which one I like better, even though this one does have some major flaws. And honestly, if you're just a fan of action and thriller films, you're gonna fucking love this movie. I'm not gonna say sci-fi fans because I feel like there's more of a fantastical and fiction element to it, but if you're a fan of, action and fucking kick-ass set pieces, as well as just giant monster action, I genuinely feel as though you're gonna have the time of your life watching this movie. And now, Noah, get ready for tomorrow. We cover the latest and greatest, well, not the greatest, but the latest installment in the Godzilla franchise. The TV show released in 2021, Godzilla Singular Point.
I can't sing the song for shit.
Yeah. See you tomorrow, guys. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, the fact that I had to re-upload every single one of my Godzillathon episodes that featured the legendary Godzilla movies, yeah, that might be a sign, but I'm a little too stubborn to take that sign, so, yeah, I'm not exactly gonna care. I love the legendary Godzilla movies, and rest assured, after these re-uploads, I do intend to take a look at that little trailer that was released for the sequel to this one, and yeah, guys, I mean, onwards to the next re-upload, and even though it went through I had to go through a lot of bullshit to make this Godzillathon happen, I gotta say, me and Noah don't regret it.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick reminder before the end of the video, I would like to ask y'all to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And if you'd be so inclined, I would not mind it if y'all would share this video with anyone you deem fit. But with that being said, that's everything we have for today, and have a good one.